Hey everybody, this is me, Roger Aladdin Daltrey, and I'm doing yet another video for you guys today, and my first video in a long time. I told you I'd be back, and I'm doing another tribute video today because 45 years ago today, one of my biggest music heroes has passed away, which is, of course, Paul Williams from The Temptations. And I can't believe it's been 45 years since Paul Williams had passed away. He really is. And as I said in my recent YouTube videos, he is one of my biggest music heroes of all time. Easily. And along with the other guys who I've mentioned. And already, I was going to do this one today, but then, of course, I heard the sad news that Aretha Franklin had passed away, so there'll be a bit of so there's kind of a bit of a mix in there between. So before I get onto the actual topic of the video, I'll just do a quick tribute for Aretha Franklin. I really liked her songs, Respect. She had an amazing voice. I also loved, I'll Say a Little Prayer for You. I also loved You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, and in fact, Rod Stewart does a cover of that, but calling it You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Man. I think it's on the Smiler record, or else And Never a Dull Moment. It's on one or the other. And I also love A Chain of Fools. I think they're the only ones I know. I'd like to get into a bit of Aretha Franklin because she had a magnificent voice, and she was 76 when she died, which was kind of a good age. And in fact, Rolling Stone magazine even ranks her as the greatest singer of all time. Would I agree with that? No, but she is definitely one of the best singers of all time. So now, on Rolling Stone's list, the best singer alive is Bob Dylan. And along with Paul Williams again, as I said, Bob Dylan is one of my biggest music heroes. And then, you know, Paul Stanley, Booker T. Jones, Phil Collins, David Bowie, Davy Jones. And then there's even John Lees from Barclay James Harvest and Eric Bloom of Blue Oyster Cult. And then, of course, my main man, Aladdin. Because again, Aladdin is the man, the best musician, best character, and best TV show of all time, and the best movie of all time, and The Return of Jafar is the greatest sequel of all time. Anyways, so rest in peace, Aretha Franklin. You're gone but never forgotten from any one of us. You will always be nicknamed as the Queen of Soul. And your voice literally just changed the world. And of course, the albums, I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You was ranked number 84 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time, and Lady Soul was number 85, so she had 2 consecutive albums in a row, which to me is very moderate and very amazing. So now on to the actual topic of the video, which is Paul Williams' Temptations for 45th anniversary tribute. I only have one Temptations album in my collection, and it is a compilation called The Temptations, The Definitive Collection. And there's the 5 dancers, and there's the back for you. So let's see, just like Chuck Berry, this is going to be a bit of an album review nearly. So let's see, I love The Way You Do the Things You Do. That's an amazing song. It's got a great drum beat to it, and as Motown did back in the day. I love My Girl, that's a great song, and the song is number 88 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time, and when I think of that title, My Girl, it's a bit like saying Hey Girl, which is a song titled by Billy Joel. And of course, he didn't write the song Hey Girl, and I can't remember who had the original one or who even done it. And I can't remember what the original one had, the original version came out in. But anyways, My Girl is great. It's Growing has a really nice piano riff to it. Since I Lost My Baby is pretty good. But what I like most on here is Don't Look Back. And Don't Look Back was sung by Paul Williams, and he sings it melodically as well. And Don't Look Back is also a song titled by Leo Sayer from the album Voice in My Head from 2005. And it's also a song titled by Bruce Springsteen, which he recorded during the Dark on the Edge of Town sessions on the Tracks outtake compilation. And with Don't Look Back, when you put in anger there, you get Don't Look Back in Anger, which is a song titled by Oasis from the 1995 record What's the Story? Morning Glory. And with Morning Glory on its own, it's also a song titled by Leonard Cohen from 2004's Dear Heather. And also Look Back in Anger is a song titled by David Bowie from the album Lodger, which was the last of the Berlin trilogy, produced by Brian Eno, who was also in Roxy Music, like on their first two albums with songs like Virginia Plain and Do the Strand, which are two of my favourite Roxy Music songs ever. So yeah, Don't Look Back is great. I like Get Ready, it's pretty good, and Get Ready is like, as on the album Getting Ready, like for example, think of the Getting Ready for Christmas Day, which is a song title by Paul Simon on the 2011 record, So Beautiful, So What. And then, I like their cover of, I like Ain't Too Proud to Beg, that's pretty good, and in fact, the Rolling Stones do a cover of that on their 1974 record, It's Only Rock and Roll, which was the last album with Mick Taylor in the band before he left. And he also played on Bob Dylan's Infidels, and played on the real live Bob Dylan live album. And of course, he performed a bit of on Empire Blessed, like for example, Tight Connection to My Heart. And Tight Connection to My Heart is one of my favourite Bob Dylan songs ever. And in fact, and guess who else is on Infidels as well? One of the greatest guitar gods of all time, Mr. Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits. Because again, Mark Knopfler is a very talented guy. And I'm hoping to, and I'm soon planning to get into his solo career, because I really do dig a lot of his solo career now. It's just, I only prefer Dire Straits back in those days, because I would have been too young to listen to Mark Knopfler solo, because when you listen to those solo artists now these days, they're mainly for like adults. Like that's why I've started to really appreciate Bob Dylan now in the past, is because since I've entered the age, like I've always followed Bob Dylan a lot of the time, because he was one of the early artists I was definitely into, and I still love him to this day, as everybody else does. And yeah, so I thought it made sense. I like, of course, I Know I'm Losing You, and it was also covered by Rod Stewart on the Every Picture Tells a Story record, and it even features all the Faces members on it, like Ron Wood, Ronnie Lane, Ian McLagan, who also appeared on what do you call it? Oh yeah, he also was on the real live Bob Dylan album. And then of course, Mr. Incredible as the guy who replaced Wallace in AHSW on the drums. And again, Mr. Incredible did a great job in AHSW, but he just wasn't really that fourth proper member for Aladdin, Homer and Shrek. Because once again, Shrek is the man on the bass, Homer's the man on the guitar, and Aladdin is the man of everything. And then Wallace is obviously the man on drums. Because obviously AHSW are my all-time favourite band. And the Temptations are definitely my favourite Motown group. And You're My Everything is a pretty nice song as well. But I like I Wish It Would Rain, which also Marvin Gaye covered as well. And it's also a similar title of I Wish It Would Rain Down, which is a song title by Phil Collins from 1989's But Seriously, which again could be my favourite Phil Collins solo album. I know I just do a ranking, but that can of course change. And I like Cloud 9 is pretty good. And Cloud 9 is also an album title by George Harrison, with of course the big hit single of Got My Mind Set on You. And then that album was then just before he did the Travelling Wilburys, and of course Jeff Lynne appeared on that record as well. Even though in 1986 he was doing the Bands of Power with Electric Orchestra. I like I Can't Get Next to You. That's a pretty nice song as well. And when you keep Next to You on its own, it's also a song title by The Police, the opening track from 1978's Outlandos D'Amour, which is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. Oh my god, how time has flown. Pretty good. I like Ball of Confusion, and the title of Ball of Confusion is like saying Land of Confusion, a song title by Genesis from 1986's Invisible Touch. And it was one of the songs that Homer mentioned in the Simpsons episode Covercraft, where he was, with the band he was playing in, he was saying that they were going to be like Genesis after Peter Gabriel left. Bart goes, "You mean more popular but not as good?" And then he goes, "Phil Collins era Genesis is not as good, huh?" No reply at all. Land of Confusion, throwing it all away. Illegal Alien, I Can't Dance, and I'm sure I don't need to mention Invisible Touch. He was very annoyed over it. Obviously, I prefer Phil Collins to Peter Gabriel, but I love Peter Gabriel as well. And, yeah, I like Ball of Confusion. And the funny thing was, the first time I heard that song with the line, "Suicide, too many pails, hippies moving through the field," I think that was Paul Williams singing it, but I'm not so sure. Then I like, of course, Just My Imagination. That's a really good song, and Booker T and the MGs covered that on the album That's the Way It Should Be. and the Rolling Stones covered it on the 1978 record Some Girls, which is also celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. And then with Imagination, when you just keep it as Imagine, you get Imagine, which is a song title by John Lennon. An album title as well, which is an amazing song, which is pretty good. And that was the end of Paul Williams' time in Temptations, because 1971 he left the band, and then that was when I lost all interest in Temptations. So in the last 4 songs in this record, I'll still talk about them, but there's some that I really like on here. Like, for example, Papa Was Rolling Stone. That's a really good song. In fact, Phil Collins covered that on his 2010 record, Going Back. Or now with the 2016 remastered editions of Deluxe, it's now called The Essential Going Back, because he put too much on, so he only wants to keep it the best ones. Like, I'll show you. I've got Going Back for you. So here's Going Back from Phil Collins. And then you can see it just on the list. I'm glad he kept it, and I'm also glad he kept Loving You Is Sweeter Than Ever from the Four Tops. And Rolling Stone is also a song title by Muddy Waters, and that's how the Rolling Stones got their name from. Like, for example, Red Hot Chili Peppers got theirs from Bob Dylan's Romance in Durango from Desire with Hot Chili Peppers and the Blistering Sun. And